And I kept saying Andrea, but like I told her, the way you spelled it looked like it's Andrea, but it's Andrea. So,
All right, we live.
all right.
All right. Good afternoon, beautiful people. This is your host, Matthew from the Day and Night Podcast. We got episode number 89. We got another good one for you. As always, the topic may seem controversial, but I mean, it is what it is. I think that's the day and time we live in. Anything you bring up, somebody's not going to like it. So, we can't please everybody. So, as always, beautiful people, we thank y'all for watching. Like, subscribe, comment if you can, and share if you can. And this has been hitting me a lot this week, as far as your thoughts becomes your belief, and your belief creates your own reality. So I know Mark got some things to do, so we're gonna get into it real quick. So Mark, the co-host, what do you got for us?
Just hey everybody, appreciate y'all joining us. Same thing, echo, like, subscribe, leave a comment. We tell y'all this every week. Stay in tune, keep in tune with what we talk about. It's good to hear everybody else's perspective and see what y'all thinking and how y'all feel about the topics we're talking about. So on that note, this is an interesting one. It's going to be a good one to talk about, like as all of them are. But this one is going to be different for me because I don't really try to get caught up in all that civil, stuff that's going on. But it's something like you said, it affects us all, and something we need to address. So on that note, I'm gonna let you kick it off, and then I'll piggyback and say what I gotta say, how I feel about this.
All right. All right. So as always, I say this every week. I be thinking. You remember the song? I'll be drinking. I'll be thinking. I'll be
Mm-hmm.
thinking.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I've been thinking, and I don't know if anybody saw that movie, Civil War. It came out probably 3 months ago. It's already on Netflix, so it didn't do good in the theaters. Um, it had pretty good actors in it, so I don't know why it didn't do good in the theaters. I don't know if it's because of the title and the theme behind it, but to me, it was a good movie. And it was weird because the way it started, it didn't really give a backstory as far as why. It just started and there was already a civil war going on. So they kind of talked about it. The whole plot was they was trying to kill the president. So it was the country, of course, against each other. So it was the regular military against paramilitary, as far as civilians is getting together and forming a, um, a military or militia. And the actual real army was trying to kill the president, whereas the actual regular citizens, the civilians, was trying to protect the president. And to me, I don't believe in coincidences. So the whole gist of this topic is because of this election that's coming up. And I'm pretty sure everybody heard this before. It's the biggest election of your life, and it's going to impact everybody. This one is for real. And if anybody, as Mark always say, I implore you, if you have not read or searched or Googled Project 2025 agenda, it's real. When I say it's real, if Trump gets in office, shit's going to hit the fan. I mean, that's how crazy this agenda is. When you read it, and I have it here, I'm going to go over some of them. It's like a 900-page document that basically talks about all the policies and stuff they want to put in place. And I'm telling you, some people believe that it's targeted more against minorities, more so blacks. I think it targets all minorities, mainly African Americans and Hispanics, because we're considered, quote unquote, the lower class or the lesser of the population. And some of this stuff, and even the regular citizens, whether if you're white, black, Asian, Hispanic, Indian, whatever, if you're an American citizen and you read this and you don't have an issue with it, then it's, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know if you need to be slapped a couple of times by Will Smith to wake up, but I'm telling you, people, or beautiful people, this is no joke. And I sent Mark a little excerpt of it or a little document, and it was talking about the cuts and stuff they was going to do to the military, to the veterans. That in itself will cripple a good portion of the population. Now, the military is a small, like 1% of the population actually goes to the military, and it's even smaller as far as the amount that actually retire. So I think that's why, if anything is put in place, I can see that affecting, veterans, because we're so small and most people won't even recognize it. If you don't have someone that's in the military, or if you know somebody that's in the military, most people are not even going to pay attention to it. So it's not going to affect them directly. So I think it's easier for them to pass that than the rest of them, because it's so small of a population. So anyway, getting back to that movie. So at the end, they actually killed a president, and like I said, they didn't state why. He just put laws and policies in place that basically tore apart the country. And like I said, it was it wasn't necessarily white against black. It was just Americans against other Americans as far as the beliefs they believed in, policies, and so forth, and religion and stuff like that. So this Civil War would be a little bit different from the last one. More so because, again, I believe it affects everybody. It affects us more, but it still affects anybody that's a citizen. So I'm just going to read over a couple of them, and then Mark, I want to get your feedback on it. Now, so beautiful people, I want y'all to hear this. I want to speak as clearly as I can because I want everybody to hear this. Again, if you have not read Project 2025 agenda, Google it, get with somebody, because this is a trip. So this is the first part. Eliminate the Department of Education. Use public funds to pay for private religious schools. Encourage Christian indoctrination through public schools. Dismantle the civil rights and DEI protections in all levels of government. Eliminate no-fault divorce. Total ban on abortions regardless of viability or health of the mother. Ban all contraceptives. Ban African American and gender studies in all levels of education. Tax cuts for major corporations and 1% while increasing taxes on the regular citizen. Eliminating unions and all worker protections. Eliminating all, or encourages Arctic drilling since the ice caps are melting. Eliminating regulations of big business and oil. Raise retirement age. Eliminate Social Security for the elderly and disabled. Promotes capital punishment and the speedy finality of such sentences. Condemns single mothers while encouraging a traditional family. Only recognize traditional families by overturning, was it Obergefell versus Hodges, in attempts to eliminate the LGBTQIA community. Dismantling the FBI and the Homeland Security. So I'm just going to stop right there and just talk about them real quick.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if I read them too fast, but if everybody caught that, like I said, some of these is crazy. Just the Department of Education.
Yeah.
Just to start with that. We already fall behind the rest of the world when it comes to education. And they're actually talking about eliminating the Department of Education. So that means there's no regulation. They can teach and say what and do what the hell they want to do. They can add any type of criteria and requirements that they want, because there's nobody to answer to. There's no agency to answer to. So when I first read it, I was like, this can't be real. But this is real. Like, these are actually in place. And the thing is, like I said, it affects everybody. So you can't look at that and just say, well, it affects just a certain group. It affects us more, but it still affects an average citizen. You're talking about seniors not having disability, no Social Security. How are they going to survive? So that's why the whole topic is whether it be another civil war, because this affects everybody. And it's going to be people pissed off because you got your Trump supporters and then you got your Biden supporters. And we're already at odds with each other anyway. So now you got these Trump supporters and they know about this Project 25. So they itching. They trying to get this in place because they want to believe that they can go back to how it was before. So I'm going to leave it at that, Mark, and I'm going to get your perspective on it.
Well, you said it. I mean, I haven't read it, so I'm gonna definitely Google that and read up on that because that's ridiculous. Like you said, all of them. The education is the main one, but all of them is ridiculous and it's control. Obviously, they're trying to control the population and regulate who they want to be in a certain position. So it's going back to how it used to be, where it's going to affect the minorities more because they're going to have lack of assets to get that the funds to be able to go to school and do all that. So it's going to affect us as much or more than it would any other races. So I definitely believe that it's going to affect all of us. But yeah, I think it's definitely meant to affect us even more so than anybody else. So I mean, it's something that we got to pay attention to as people. I feel like nobody pays attention to it because they feel like when it comes to politics, oh, whoever's in there is going to do whatever. So it's not really going to affect us because nobody really research and look into these laws that they're going to implement. And they just feel like the president just going to do whatever anyway, instead of realizing that, yeah, we do have a say so. If we make some kind of move to better ourselves, we might be able to change that. But I don't really think that would change anything, to be honest, at this point. Because, like you said, you got the Trump supporters and then your Biden, and that's why it's going to be a civil situation because everybody going to have that belief. So for me, where I'm sitting, I definitely see it could be a civil war. I didn't see the movie, so I don't want to speak too much on it because I don't know, the premises. I know what you said about the premises of it. They're trying to protect the president going against the military that's trying to take them out. But to me, I think as far as a civil war on the aspect is regular people going against each other because they're going to have attitudes towards people that supporting Trump and then Biden supporters. So you're going to have that separation. So that's going to be an all-out war because you're going to have everybody trying to prove their point of what they believe in. So if it's true, it's nothing good going to come out of that. And I don't like to sound like a negative person, but if we don't do nothing to change it, what we think going to happen? It's going to happen. And I know what you say about that when you say people lay there and just expect it. I'm not saying lie down or just deal with it, but I'm just on the part of who's going to really care, and if they do, what are you going to do to change that? So that's where I sit with this: is the ones that do know, what are we going to do? And it takes more than one or two people. I think this is going to take a whole collective majority of people, and that they have to really be supportive of it and believe in it for it to go forward.
But you know what's crazy is that's funny because I was thinking about that today. And I was like, so how can we change it other than voting? And it's like it's the lesser of two evils because you got Biden that have these crazy policies in place. Immigration is getting out of hand. Any and everybody is coming over here. And it's like no regulation really truly against it. So it's like, well, if you don't vote for Biden, then you got to deal with this nonsense. And if you don't vote for Trump, then you got to deal with Biden and his nonsense. So to me, either way, who's in office, I think it still can come to a point to where that's like a last resort. Only for the simple fact is, like you said, so many people, I don't know if you can read it, but I read the temperature and it's like people are just at their wits' end, and the least little thing they ready to do something. Either they cussing you out or they fighting or whatever the case is. And because so many people do know about this Project 2025, especially the Trump supporters, if he doesn't win, that's when you have to ask yourself, how are they going to really feel about it? Because they sit here waiting for this to actually take place. They want this to take place.
And if he doesn't win, what is going to be their mindset? Are they just going to sit back and say, okay, we lost, it is what it is. We just got to support this president. Or are they going to say, nope, hell no, we got to take back our country. We got to do what we got to do, and just see what happens. So I know I'm big on, not living in fear and stuff like that. And like I just open up with your thoughts become your belief, you create your reality. This one is challenging for me because as a collective, we all have to have the same mindset. So as a person, individual, you can have your own mindset, you can create your own reality. But in this situation, it's tricky because it's like you can create a mindset all you want. You still have to deal with a reality because everybody else reality is going to still create one mass reality, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's not like you can just live in your own space and be like, oh, I'm good. Because if these rules and policies are put in place, you're going to have to deal with it. So this one is challenging for me. I'm like really sitting back and thinking, I was like, damn, my beliefs are really going to be tested on this. And to be honest, I'm just going to be upfront. I mean, I heard about the Project 2025 before, and I looked at it. I said, I ain't tripping off of that. They ain't going to do anything. But when I saw the military and I saw them talking about doing away with disability, because I get disability pay, that's basically my income. So if that is taken away, now I have to get back out there and work, which is no problem. But it's like I actually do have a disability. So now I'm putting myself in harm's way as far as if I work to an extent to where I'm doing more damage to myself and they actually do take away disability and Social Security, you're working until you're about 80, 90 years old with nothing to help you. And that's what's crazy about it. And it's like, it's no way. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, there's no way people's going to let this fly. And of course, Trump downplayed it and said he never heard of the 2025. And that's not his plan. This is the Republicans' plan. So even if he doesn't get in office, well, I don't even know what other Republican is running. So it's going to be between him and Biden. Now, this is the other thing. I don't know if you heard about that can kick off a quote unquote civil war. I don't know if you heard because she was on TikTok, she's supposed to be prophetess, where she prophesied and said that Donald Trump is going to be murdered. And that's why I was like, this crazy because in the movie Civil War, like I said, the president was murdered. He was killed. Now, if this is true and The Simpsons is supposed to be a prophetic cartoon, in the Simpsons episode, the president was killed. So it's like one of those situations to where it's a no-win situation and it's going to have to happen.
Right. Yeah.
Like I said, because both sides are so unstable, it's like it doesn't matter if Trump gets in office or not. Somebody's going to be unhappy. And because of the mindset of so many people, is that like such a negative view when it comes to certain things, how will they handle it? Whether that's the Biden supporters or the Trump supporters. That's the big question for me.
Yeah, see, that's the problem with that is they going off of the ignorance of people. Like you said, the people that know about the project is the ones that's aware. So of course they, like you said, they hoping and waiting for it to go active. But the people that don't pay attention to politics or any of this, that's what they counting on to be blind-eyed to all of this. And then that's where I think the problem lies. It's a lot of people that don't want to follow politics, so they feel like it is what it is. Whoever's in office, they still going to screw us over. So we just might as well just live and just be happy, and whatever happens is going to happen. And I think that's what they banking on. So my point is, like you just said, what can we do collectively? We can sit down and have a townhouse meeting, quote unquote, say, and is that going to change something? Because at the end of the day, yeah, we all conscious of it, but the vast majority is going to trump the people that do, or say, awaken or understand what's going on. And it's not going to be enough people that realize it to change the outcomes. So it's going to be, unfortunately for me, one of those wait and see what happens kind of things where I'm serious. Like, what can we do? Because it's not going to be a vast majority. Like, if I could go and talk to a couple of friends and tell them, "Yo, did you hear about this project 25?" Are they going to be like,
2025.
"For real, man? I don't believe in that." Yeah. So to me, it's going to be only the ones that know about it, but that's such a small group,
Hmm.
versus the ones that don't care. Just at this point in life where we're going to live just to live. But what my question is, and I'm gonna,
Right.
research it myself, is when they said this project, did they say what's the ulterior motive behind it? Is it supposed to be, in a sense, better in the country? Did they say why this
Hmm.
project is coming about, or they just said this is a project that's going to be in play if Trump gets into office? I mean, it's pretty blatant, obvious once you read it. But I
Yeah.
mean, the people that put it out there, did they
So
make it? Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm gonna read this real quick.
And this is for anybody else that don't know what Project 2025 is. This is the intent
So
behind it. So the plan is gaining attention, just as Trump is trying to moderate his stated position to win the election. Okay, so the whole center of this Project 2025 is it's a 900-page plan that calls for extreme policies on nearly every aspect of American lives, from mass deportations to politicizing the federal government in a way that would give Trump control over the Justice Department. So he's talking about getting rid of the Justice Department and FBI, to cutting entire federal agencies, to infusing Christian nationalism into every facet of government policy by calling for a ban on pornography and promoting policies that encourages marriage, work, motherhood, fatherhood, and nuclear families. Now, so the whole intent, to answer your question, is how I used to have in his old slogan, "Make America Great Again."
Mm-hmm.
This is their perception of making America great again, by taking away some of these things that's in place that they feel as though is crippling the United States. So he feels as though they're taking away some of these agencies and these plans and stuff like that will allow us to be more focused on motherhood, fatherhood, and just coming back to the family. Now, somebody brought up a good point when they said that that's the same way Hitler started off. When you actually read it, it sounds like a dictator, because they're basically taking democracy out of it.
Right.
And it's just one person that says, okay, this is what I want in place. This is how it's supposed to be. And this is what you're going to do. So I said, you have to read it because everybody's interpretation is going to be different.
Right.
But for me, it's like, I don't know how anybody can read this and not see that as a problem. But it's like, it's so far fetched. Like some of the stuff that they're talking about doing, you kind of can get lax and be like, man, that ain't real. That's BS. There's no way they would do that.
Right.
Because the stuff is just not logical that they're talking about taking away.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to read the rest of what I have on here. Use of military to break up protests, so it won't be any police. Eliminating Head Start and the free discounted school lunch program. Banning books and curriculum regarding slavery. So they're basically trying to wipe out history, saying that we were slaves. So that way they can basically put in the minds of people, this is who Black people are. This is why they are the way they are, or whatever narrative they want to spin. Forcing immigrants to be deported or held in camps, and ends birthright citizenship. So as far as when immigrants come over, as long as they birthed by someone that's a citizen, then they'll automatically become a citizen. They're trying to wipe that out. So if you have someone that's coming from Europe or Mexico or whatever, if their parents give birth, they don't directly have citizenship. They still got to file for it. Banning Muslims from entering the country. So now you got the Muslims that's going to be in the uproar. Dismantle. Now think about this. The FDA, the EPA, the NOAA, and the and more, and packed the Supreme Court with extreme far right judges. There's this thing about the FDA, that's the Food Drug Administration.
Mm-hmm.
They already talking about the food we eat is not real. Can you imagine what would happen if they banned the FDA? How much crap would be out there?
Mm-hmm.
And then the EPA is the environmental.
Mm-hmm.
It's already polluted. People can spray whatever chemicals they want. And that's why I said it sounds so far-fetched, because some of the stuff that they have in place, it's like, there's no way in hell somebody would be like, oh, yeah, let's get rid of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm telling you, dude, if you read it, you're gonna be like, nah, I don't believe that, because that's just stupid. Ain't nobody gonna do that.
Right. And
so it's real subtle. And then with the military, they actually implemented the draft.
Mm-hmm.
So any male 18 and over will have to be drafted. If the military needs to draft the young men in, they can do that. And I'm thinking if they actually take away the benefits, there won't be any incentive as far as for anybody to join and for people to stay in. So if they do, people stop coming in, then what they can do, implement the draft. You have no choice.
Right. And that's probably
so it's crazy, dude. It really is. So I don't know. I just don't see a win-win situation out of it.
What's crazy about all that?
I don't know if you heard what the Supreme Court voted, that basically Trump can't be tried for anything. Like, he literally can murder somebody because he was former president. He can't be tried and sent to jail.
Right. So that's what I'm thrown off, because
just let people just let that sink in for a minute.
Yeah. So I mean, the crazy thing about all this is that goes against what this country is supposed to be considered, a free country of will and freedom, a constitution, all that. So for them to do that is literally taking away all the reasons why people want to be in America. So to me, it's control. Like you said, they trying to control, not trying, they want to control us and minimize the freedom that we have. And pretty much you're going to be living, I say slave, I hate to say that, but more modern day type slavery.
Yeah.
That's just my way of looking at it. If you're doing take away all of that, that's just another form of slavery, other than you just out in the field somewhere, but they making you enslaved by controlling you and what you can do and cannot do. So that's, to me, a modern day slavery is what they're trying to implement.
Mm-hmm.
And they taking away the constitution of what this country is supposed to be considered or known for. So again, I said it and I'm gonna say it again, they counting on people not believing it. Like you said, you read it, the average folk will be like, man, this ain't real. This can't happen. And that's what they banking on.
Yeah.
It's for nobody to take it serious. And then when it happens, then everybody's gonna want to react. And that's why the Civil War gonna be implemented. Because then they realize that you're gonna have your what do you call them? Rebels that's gonna go against it, and then that's where it's gonna develop into that. And I feel like that's why it is gonna be a civil war, because it's gonna be beginning of what's going to come. The outcome is going to be a civil war at some point, but it's going to build up to that, and this is going to be the start of it. So I mean, it's sad, but really, at the end of the day, just something like you said, individually, I think this is going to be what this is going to be based on, because everybody's going to look at it in a different way. So it's going to be hard to really go against this, because everybody's going to have their own belief on it.
Yeah.
If they want to believe it or not. And unfortunately, some people I gotta wait and see it when I believe it. You don't believe it when I see it. So, and then when they see it, then that's when reality is in. Unfortunately, it'll be too late at that point. But I always say this on all the podcasts we have, it's going to affect, unfortunately, our kids' generation more. I mean, we still living, but we at that point where it's going to affect them more than anything, because they're the ones that really, the younger generations, the ones that really need to open their eyes. And I think it's a lot of kids, young adults, that's more into politics than I think I was at 25 and 20. You know what I mean? So I think they're the ones that's really going to have to be a little bit more in tune with this, like Keisha and Deanna and them, and especially Brazen Hakeem, my grandson, because that generation, I don't know what the hell is going to happen with them when they get older. But at this point, yeah, that next generation, they the ones that got to really. All of us do, but I'm just saying because that's the one that's going to be more affected by it than anything else, and then thereafter. So,
Okay.
somebody
So
got to,
yeah, I want to respond to a question KJ asked. She said, "What about our sons? What do you mean by what about our sons? What
Question are you exactly asking when you say, what about our sons? So I don't know. Like I said, this one, that was interesting. So I went to a birthday party the other day with it was a senior, and it was at a senior's home. And I had the privilege to actually listen to, I don't know if she was just making stuff up, but she was about 86 years old, and she was saying she used to be a spy. She said she used to work for the president. Now, it was interesting because she's a heavy Trump supporter. So, and I can't say it's her theory because if she was telling the truth, she worked in the White House. She did CIA operative stuff. So she knows, and she swears up and down that the President Obama is behind all this. She named some real rich dude, and she was basically saying like he's the one that runs everything. He's in control of everything. And basically, she felt as or feel as though Obama is behind a lot of this because some of the stuff that Biden has in place, along as far as the immigrants and stuff coming in, is so lax. There's more Muslims and stuff that's coming into this country than it was before. And she feels as though that
Hey, can you hear me, Matt? Because I
off
have a
of his
bad
belief in
connection.
religion. And I was like, I don't know, because he was a heavy supporter of the LGBTQ. And Muslims, if anything, is 100% against that. They're more strict than probably any other religion that's out there. So, and I was like, I don't know about that because if he's a true Muslim, I don't see him backing the LGBTQ community like that the way he did, because he kind of like jumpstart everything because he was the one that allowed the homosexuals and stuff to come into the military. So I don't get that with that when she was saying that, but she was saying like a lot of them don't like Kamala, the vice president, and they're afraid that she's going to get in office because Biden is so.
Oh my
he
God!
looked like he's on his deathbed, so they're so fearful of him getting in office. Yeah, they're going to do everything they can to get Trump in office. And this is what's interesting because you said you feel as though the young people are more into politics than they were before and how we were. She was totally opposite. She was saying that our young people are so far gone and away from politics that it's crazy. And that's why so much stuff is getting, by people is because they're so uneducated when it comes to politics. And she was like, they don't read. All they do is get on the TikTok and they on the phones. They don't pay attention to what's going on. And like you said, they are the ones that's going to really be affected by it. And if anything, they're the major ones that's going to have in my opinion, a heavy responsibility in this election because if it affects them more. It affects us, especially if they do away with the health care and stuff like that. But because they have a longer life to live, you would think that they would be more entrenched in getting involved with politics in this election and knowing what this 2025 agenda is supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Well, she got a point. I ain't gonna just disclude or say all of them is into it, but I mean just some of the young people that I know interact with, they speak on it, and just watching some rallies and stuff like that, I see where it's some young people in tune. But yeah, the vast majority, yeah, she's dead on with the TikTok, and they, that's the last thing that's on their mind. But I mean, just as far as thinking about it, when I was in my 20s, I was never honestly worrying about politics or thought about it like that. So, but I can't speak
Yeah.
for everybody, obviously. But I mean, just like I said, just a few that I've watched do rallies and stuff in the colleges and stuff. So I feel like maybe they are a little bit more in tune, but not. If you do a percentage, I'm pretty sure it's still heavily more on the young ones not in tune. But yeah, I mean, this is one of them subjects where I mean, it's something. It's not much I can say on it because it's something that we have to be in tuned in. You got to be kind of into that because to me, if you're not into all that, you're not going to buy into it, even if you do read it. You know what I mean? Like you said, it's blatant obvious. It's right there, but even if you're not into that stuff at all, you just gonna kind of gloss it over as, yeah, that's crazy, and then sit it on the desk or something and just ignore it, you know? So
Mhm.
again, I feel like this is something that's going to be, you got to really be in tune and really serious about the future of this country, you know. But it doesn't hurt to share. I feel like each one teach one. You might touch two, three people, but at least somebody get it. You know, you never know who you might touch that might make a difference. So I still believe it's important to share and conversate about it, you know, because you
Mhm.
just never know who it might reaches and resonate with. So I still feel like it's important to talk about because honestly I never even heard about that till you said so. So and I'm guilty of it. So now that you said it though, I'm more curious. So I'm definitely going to look into that and read that. But you know, I'm pretty sure the average person never even heard of that before. So let's stay into politics.
Okay, so I just want to touch on something real quick because AJ keep asking about this question.
Or asking this question about the draft. So I just did a Google search on it. So as of now, the draft has not been reinstated. Now, I think this was like 3 weeks ago. I heard them talking about it, and you know how the news is; they can make things seem like it's true, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So the way they was talking, they made it sound like it was actually already reinstated, and they approved it.
Right.
So, like as of right now, it's not being reinstated. I know they were talking about it, and they wanted to. So the House of Representatives Friday passed a measure with the um, North National Defense Authorization Act that would automatically enroll men 18 to 26 with the selective service system. So the federal agency documents all people registered for selective service. Many mandatorily, the agency would provide the information to the Defense Department in case of a draft, although one is not currently in place. So it's like they were saying when I was in that basically they're saying that every 18 to 26-year-old have to register with a selective service. And I don't know if you remember this, Mark, when we was growing up in high school, they used to tell us, okay, make sure you sign up for elective service. Well, that was a questionnaire on like, I think it was applications or something like that. So I believe that's what they were trying to do is to implement that again, not necessarily so much the draft. So as of right now, based off of this article that I'm reading, the draft has not been reinstated, And that was June 4th, 2024. So that's pretty recent. I'm sorry, June 18th, 2024.
Oh yeah,
So as of right now, there's no draft, but something still to keep an eye on, you know, just in case. I mean, Mark, you got a son. I think Marcus is still within the age range.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
I know KJ, her son, or anybody that has a son that's between that 18 or 26, you know, that's something to keep an eye on because, and that's what was in that movie, The Civil War. It was, you know, American soldiers that had to kill their own people, you know, and that's like one of the worst things as a soldier is to go up against your own people.
Right.
You know, it's different from like protecting them or riot control. But when you talk about actually like killing people and beating them, well, the cops do that anyway. But for most people, that's humane. That's not something you will feel comfortable, you know, with doing. So, but yeah, so that's the gist of this whole podcast is to just bring to people's attention And again, I don't like to stir up fear or to put fear in anybody's mind, but is this something we have to seriously think about? Because in the back of my mind, it still lingers like this ain't gonna happen. There's no way. Because the stuff on here is just too far fetched for anybody to accept it because it actually, you know, it attacks everybody. It's like nobody's singled out. Because if you have children, it affects you. If you have senior, parents, it affects you. If you have someone that's homosexual, part of the LGBTQ community, it affects you. If you have someone that's a former veteran, it affects you. People that have children that's in school, it affects you. So it's no aspect of life as a U.S. citizen that it doesn't affect you. So it's like, how are people not paying attention to it? Or even if they do, not take it serious.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
and I know you asked this question earlier, what can we do?
Go ahead.
Honestly, the only thing we can do at this point, I'm not a big proponent of voting, but that's really the only thing we can do is vote, and try to do the best. Not try, I hate the word try, but do the best that we can as far as taking back ownership and raising our children. Men being leaders in their communities, and and getting back to the family unit. I believe that's the only way. Because in my opinion, it's too much of social media that's raising children, and not so much parents raising children. Because people can put whatever they want to put out there. The news put out what they want to put out. And if we don't have parents that's actually, doing what they're supposed to as parents, then it's a little easier to manipulate people and guide them the way you want them to go. Because hell, their parents ain't doing it. We are raising, we're programming. So in my opinion, that's probably one of the only ways to get over this. I know some people say, well, we got to pray about it, and that's good, but we have to put in the work, and this is me calling men myself. And it's, it's funny because I was thinking about this. Being in a subdivision, do you consider that a community? It's not like when we was growing up, when we had our neighborhood and stuff like that.
Right.
How dad used to pull us all together and, sit us on the steps and talk to us and stuff.
Yeah.
He used to get us and have us do the cans, picking up the cans. So stuff like that, or somebody joining, getting a basketball league together, or a study group or something like that. So because there's so many subdivisions, at least down here in the South, I don't see, it's a community, but it's not the community, so to speak.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like, it's isolation. You secluding yourself from the urban major city because you are away from it. And nowadays, I don't know if it's like that in Atlanta, but here when they build each subdivision, they build everything within that subdivision to keep you where you don't even have to commute anywhere else because they got everything at your convenience. So to me, that building your own community in that area because you have everything at your disposal. So to me, that's separating from where you have to go into the city to do your business or whatever you have to do because everything is there. So I believe that is somewhat your own little community in that subdivision. So I mean, it's bring awareness is what I call it. I know you say you don't want to put fear, and I say it's bringing awareness because again, some people may not know. I didn't really know about this until you said it. So now you got me curious. So like I said, I think certain people still need to hear about it because if they have some care of what's going on, they might look into it. Now, you can say, so what's it going to do once you read it? Now you're just going to be worried. But again, it brings awareness. Now you could be more proactive and bring more people to attention. And then that's where it goes to the next level to where more people, then you can go talk to your counselor, not counselor, but your district governor or whatever, just go through the different stages. I mean, it may sound far-fetched, but to me, that's how you be proactive, you know, to try to make a difference. Because if not, you're just gonna sit back and pretty much again wait and see what happens, and then be like, "Oh my God, it really did happen," you know. So that's what's crazy. But I was going to ask you, but I'm gonna look into it anyway. Well, not ask you, but more make a statement. So when they say this, pretty much more or less going to be one thing at a time. It ain't going to just happen overnight, but they're going to change all this, like you said about the education and the military. It's going to be one at a time, or is it going to be something that's going to be gradually implemented? You know, that's just a question that I have when you say that with this project, because I don't think everything's going to be all at once. So to me, I think it's going to be slowly, you know, changing and different things on that, what you spoke of. That's what I'm curious about. Now, I shouldn't say I'm gonna ask you the question. I should say I'm curious on how that will work.
Yeah. So,
or what you think.
Now they actually didn't, because a lot of stuff that I've heard about it was through some of the clips on TikTok, or somebody talking about it, and people posting parts of the agenda. I haven't read, because it's 900 pages. That's a hell of a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. Like reading
So
20 pages.
the clip that I saw, it was the one sister. I think she's a senator, and the one that was talking about Bad Becky with a beach body or something like that.
Oh, her.
Yeah. So she's the main one. That's when I first heard about the project 2025. And so I just saw another clip of her today, and she was talking about what they're trying to do with it, and they're 100% like serious about doing this. Now, as far as the plan, because there's so many, they actually didn't say which one they was going to start with or how they're going to start. It's just a plan that's in place over his tenure as president for the 4 years. Those are the things that he wants to implement. So just like any other plan, it has to start somewhere. And of course, everything's not going to be hit at the same time. So he may start with one and then work his way down the list. But my thing is just the simple fact that the mindset of what he wants to do. And it's just like when he was in office before, it's not so much what he can do and what can take place. It's the mindset of the people that he's affecting. That's what I'm looking at, because you're going to have those people like, yeah, we got Trump in office. He got this project 2025, and the way they're going to treat people is going to be totally different from how, they treated them before, because now they have in mind, okay, we got this project 2025 in our back pocket, and this is going to take place. So that's what I'm looking at more so in the beginning stages of it, is how it's going to be a trickle down or a ripple effect as far as how it affects people. Because once it catch wind, and you got those closet ones that's kind of on the fence, and then once they see it start to pick up and pick up some steam, then they going to jump on the bandwagon. And now you got chaos, and then the country reverting back to how it was before. So to me, that is the biggest challenge, is the mindset of the people and how that's going to basically affect everybody else. So, and I think that's why it should be brought to everybody's attention. Look, we can't take it as a joke, regardless when it starts, how long it's going to take. This is something we have to prevent. And by all means necessary, we cannot allow this joker to get in office. Because I will be honest, I didn't have any issue with Trump. Everybody else was talking about him. I laughed at the dude because he's funny, he's so straightforward. But then when I heard about this Project 2025, I said, okay, he's on a different mindset. He's truly trying to be a dictator. He's like really trying to control the masses and to be looked at as a god. And that's the problem, is because so many people idolize this guy. They literally see him as a god. And that's one of the other conspiracy theories, is when he gets taken out, that's when all unrest is, and hell is going to break loose, because like, oh, you killed our leader, you killed our god. No, you know what I'm saying? That's when people just going to go crazy. Now, me personally, I kind of had pushback. I was like, She got to be 100% on point to sit here and predict that he's going to be killed. So I don't believe that.
Right.
I just think that she's just taking and catching wind of what's they put on The Simpsons, and I don't know if she's trying to draw attention to herself or what, but I don't believe that. I just don't see that happening. With the security and stuff like that, yeah, I don't see it. But I could be wrong. That's just my opinion.
It may be attempts, but I don't know if it actually happening. Yeah, but they said that the last time he was in the office, he was going to be taken out. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's possible. I'm pretty sure there's probably people that will plan to do it, but they probably get caught in the process, and you just never hear about it. So I mean, that part I would believe that somebody would try to. Now, if it actually happens, that's another story. But
now I want to hit this one response real quick. So KJ brought up a good point, and I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to say something about that.
So she asked, do you think more people will buy guns and weapons? Hell yeah. Now, like I said, I'm doing the whole fingerprinting thing. This is Texas. This is your people. Every other call that I get are people getting their license to carry. I'm talking about 18 all the way up to, I lie to you not, Mark, 96. This dude's birthday was 1925. He's getting a license to carry. Dude couldn't remember his name. He couldn't talk. I'm like, how the hell are you getting a license to carry and you can barely function? So I'm like, how are you going to be out there trying to shoot somebody? He can't move. He's like biting.
Right.
But anyway, to answer her question, yes, people are buying up guns, especially in Texas. That's 100%. And that was going to be my other question to you and to other viewers out there. Are you prepared? If there is a civil war, if a civil war was to come, are you prepared?
That's the
because
next
people
thing
are strapping up and they're getting ready. So, and like I was saying earlier, it's the mindset is what we have to worry about of these people.
Yeah, so that's funny that KJ.
So did I answer your question, KJ? What you got, Mark?
Okay, so I was gonna say, yeah, that's funny that KJ brought that up because good old Texas, yeah. And thinking about the Civil War, I would vision Texas being the main state first that will go to that level because the laws are already implemented where you can license to carry. Some jokers be walking around with their gun on their hip, so they already buying guns up more. But now because it's more legal here, yeah, I definitely would see that increasing, and I definitely would see the Civil War will act out here first of any other state in the country is because the mentality of how they are now, where they quick to shoot people over the stupidest argument. So it's definitely because it's got a lot of Trump supporters in Texas. So yeah, that would definitely happen, and I definitely see that. And for me, will I be prepared? This is crazy, but I normally don't believe in using guns, but at this point, yeah, I'm gonna have to get one because you have to protect yourself. I always joke and tell people the reason why I don't get one is because I'd be like Bishop from Juice. You know what I mean? And I tell people, if you know that you're not stable enough, and we even have a podcast on that, remember about carrying. I know that I'd be one of those people that's going to be quick. Now, dare I say this to make it sound like I'm just going to be shooting up people, but I don't have time for silliness. And I remember Dad used to always telling us, and Jay told me this too. If you pull on somebody, you better be ready to use it. Don't be flashing it. Don't be, I'm going to shoot you. If you're going to shoot them. So that's why I always believe I won't carry because I'm going to be the one to shoot you. So that's where I feel like, yeah, that's how the mentality of Texas is. I'm going to shoot you. I don't care. So it's going to get worse if that Civil War gets to come about. Definitely Texas. And I see that as happening because it's already like that now. And, that's just people just mad for whatever reason. So, yeah. But for myself, prepare myself, yeah, I'm going to have to because we, unfortunately, at that point where you got to take care of yourself and your families. So, if they pull on you and you have nothing to protect yourself,
right?
So
And
yeah.
it's bad too because there was the applicant. I don't know how old she was, but I lie to you not. The fee of the fingerprint was $38. She was
Mm.
like, "Y'all have a payment plan," and I was like, "Damn." For
Wow.
$38, she asked me, "You'll have a payment plan."
That's
So basically,
crazy.
what I'm getting to is times are so hard economically
Yeah.
that these things that is put in place is going to just make it even that much harder.
Yeah.
And you got to do what you got to do to survive, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's rob, steal, or kill, I can see people doing that,
Yeah.
especially when they feel as though it's no hope. Hell, what can I lose? And I
Mm-hmm.
said this before. For some reason, that damn Hunger Games keeps sticking in my mind. I just see that.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I just see that as something that this country can definitely is moving toward. It's kind of already, in my opinion, a two-class society anyway. Um, but I think if this dude get in office and gets this plan in place, I can see that because they definitely going to definitely be the haves and the have-nots. Either you have or you don't have.
Yeah.
And this is something to think about for the young people. Like if they really do away with Social Security and disability, and they raise the age limit of retirement, what the hell are you working for? Like you can't
Exactly.
stop working because you don't have any retirement. So you're going to keep working till you're 96 years old. You're literally going to work till you die.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's just something to think about. So I want to read this comment. So KJ said, think we have to be prepared, not with weapons, but being able to take care of ourselves when the infrastructure falls. I'm with you 100%, KJ, but unfortunately, you better strap up because if you just think about it, if you're fortunate enough to have, and you have
Mm-hmm.
people that don't have, and they have a weapon, I'm just being real. They ain't gonna come to you politely and say, "Ma'am, can I have what you have? Can you just share what you have?" And if you say no, you think of say, "Okay, I thank you, I appreciate it. You enjoy your luxury AC, all the food you have inside the house, your transportation, and we're just gonna go about our way and we see if the next door neighbor can help us." If they have a weapon, they're gonna do whatever they have to get what you have. So I'm not trying to encourage anybody to strap up, but you just really have to think about it. If it gets to that point, and it's an all-out civil war, it's the survival of the fittest. Just think about it. There was people back then too that believed in God and was praying. I was in combat with people that was the minister, pastors, and an avid Christian, and they was killed. So just because you pray is not going to, save you from actually being, killed or hurt. So it's just something to think about. Um, Again, I'm not trying to put fear in nobody's heart, but just food for thought, as I always say. Just something to think about. And when you're sitting down talking to your family, your friends, instead of talking about TikTok or talking about what Shannon Sharp said on his podcast or what these other jokers saying on the podcast, we should be talking about these things. What can we do to help prevent this Project 2025 from taking place? You'll be surprised with a conversation how far it will go.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just something to think about.
Conversation rules the nation. But yeah, it's something that just I thought about that when you were saying that. And it's going to sound like it's pushback, but it's more of a question.
Mhm.
Who else is out there to even try to think about to go against this guy? Because honestly, like you said earlier, I think it's only Biden and Trump is the only two because we're already at
Yeah.
that point anyway. Because the primaries coming up, so literally it's like Biden or Trump, and then if you one of the two is going to be you're gonna get some kind of crap. So it's sad to say that, but at this point, I ain't gonna say it's too late. But yeah. What can we do to change that? I think you got to really look into your politics a little bit more
Mhm.
and see. If you don't feel like you care or don't care, then you're going to deal with the outcome.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's going to happen. So when it happens, in other words, don't be complaining about it because you have the
Mhm.
opportunity to be proactive. So, and I always say this, and then that's what I'm gonna end it with is nothing worse than a person that has the ability to change something and they don't do anything at all. So to me, that's the worst kind of person. And if you don't know, you don't know. But if you know and you're not literally doing anything, you just feel like, oh well, then that's the worst kind of
Yeah.
position to be in. So on that note, stay in tune, people. Educate yourself on this because it affects everyone, like you said, Matt. You got grandkids, sisters, young sisters, brothers, going to affect them. So it still affects your part of your life. So
Hell, it
get
affects us
involved,
too, because
stay
we about to
involved.
be seniors.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Everybody,
Yeah.
all of us. So that on that note, get involved. So it's important. Don't have that mentality. Well, what's going to happen is going to happen. If you have a chance to change it, then why not? At least put an effort. I'm big on effort. I think you say the same thing. Effort
Mhm.
means a lot to me. You know, even if it don't work, at least you try to do
Yeah.
something, being proactive.
Yeah. All right. So I know Mark got to get up out of here. Man, that hour be going by too fast.
Yeah, it
So
went quick.
for those that was watching and those that will watch, hopefully y'all got something out of it. Hopefully you all sit down, take this serious, talk with your loved ones, talk with your friends. And like I said, I'm not a big proponent of voting, but I think this year is probably the biggest year for people to really get out there and vote. I know a lot of people believe it don't work because the electoral college are the ones that actually determine the presidency as far as with the votes and stuff. Because it's just the popular vote is what we're doing. But just get awareness. Because like Mark said, he didn't know about it. There's a lot of people that don't know about it, and we definitely need to bring this to everybody's attention. I'm a heavy believer in each one teach one. You speak to one person, you don't know who that person is going to talk to. So even if you're just talking to, someone at your job, someone in passing, they may not be aware of it, and you never know just by you saying something to that person, how far it can go. But just stay attentive, beautiful people, not in fear, but just attentive. So as always, like, subscribe, comment, and your thoughts becomes your belief, and your belief, you create your reality. So until next week, y'all be good. Love, peace, and light. We out.
We out.